Hi, everyone. Today is Wednesday, November the, I don't know, 15th, is it?
Yeah. Yep, 15.
I'm having trouble keeping track of the days, Moo, but we're here with the weekly crypto review with, of course, MooAnt. There's no review without Moo. And thanks for joining me a day early, Moo. I know that you have a special appointment for tomorrow for a family appointment, and we just cannot miss any crypto reviews right now because there's just too much going on in the market.
Yeah, extremely. Been very active on my different discords and things. There's just so much news every day. There's so much movement. Just lots of interesting things happening. It's a really nice time to be a crypto holder, I think, and take advantage of this time that a lot of people have been waiting for, right? And even these companies kind of feel the same, where they've been beat up a little bit over the last 2 years, and they're ready now to deploy some of the things they've been working on since 2021, or the high in 2021. So it's really cool. It's a really great time for crypto. Crypto gaming's doing really well. There's so many things that are doing well. People are understanding the importance of certain blockchains and what they're associated with and what they're not. I think that's really good. There's just so much. I mean, I could probably do a weekly or a daily morning news thing, which I might start doing. It's a great time to be in crypto. I'm really excited. What do you think about that avalanche? Avalanche is just taking off, right? Love it.
I had my Avalanche sign up the last the Avalanche what do you say, that the NFT that I turned into artwork, and framed. I had that one up last time, and I was just using that as my little cues to people, like, take a look at this, take a look at that. Before that, we had Doja. Doja went on a little run. That was nice. I think that no matter what we're holding, it's going to be a great month. It's going to be a great next couple of months for all of us. And the wait is worth it. I have to say that it's nice. It's probably been about 4 weeks in a row. I haven't seen anyone on X declare that blockchain is a scam and is going to be dead and everyone's going to lose their money. I was seeing that up until like a few months ago. And I was like, man, that's not going to age well. And a lot of people say, oh, well, those are people, trying to discourage folks so they can get in cheaper. And I'm like, no, they really are going to miss the boat. Like, they're really going to have millionaires made all around them. And their refusal to buy any cryptocurrencies. Oh, no, I'm just going to buy gold and silver. It's just going to go to the moon. And it's like, well, no, I don't think so, because it's going to go up because not everybody can get blockchain stuff. But if you're in Iceland right now in one of those fishing towns and you got to flee, if you got a lot of gold and silver, I don't think they're going to let you take it on their limited transportation off of that part of the island, really. Right. So, if you had a couple of USBs with your crypto wallets on there, you'd be in much better shape, and you'd be able to set yourself and your family up in another place while things are going sideways in your hometown there.
Thanks, Sam. Appreciate that. Let's kind of just go over some news things maybe here at the beginning. Kind of curious if you guys have updated your MetaMask mobile. If you use that, you need to update to 7.100 in order to address a recent bug in 7.90. So you're going to need to do that, and I would do that as soon as possible. So I'm kind of curious if you guys have done that or not. And I want to take a look at a few of the things. I think we want to go over some kind of scam things here at the beginning. There's a lot of scammers that come out at this time in crypto when things are running. So just be very, very careful. I'm kind of curious if you've been a victim of a phishing attack through an email or something like this, or a scammy advertisement you've seen on, YouTube or something like this. Also kind of curious if you guys were tricked by this fake XRP ETF filing. Kind of concerned about that, and just trying to make sure, everybody's staying safe here, Sam, as we kind of move on. You had a good one too that you saw that I mentioned either last week or the week before, about the fake Brad Garlinghouse ads on YouTube.
Yeah, that's where they're saying, oh, you can send 5,000 up to 500,000 XRP to this address, and that they'll send you back twice as much. And that's a scam that's been going around. That went out, years ago, and people really can't do anything about it because they sent their cryptos to that address, right? That nobody hacked them, right? So there's no way for somebody to figure out, oh yeah, they did something illegal. No, man, you sent them your cryptocurrencies and they're not sending you anything back. And they generated this AI video with Brad Garlinghouse there, which is, yes, it's his image, and yes, he's speaking and he's moving around, but they've altered what he's saying through AI. And in my opinion, they didn't do a very good job of it. But the thing is a lot of times people will just view these videos on their Discord channel that somebody has shown or what have you. And if you don't have it on a big screen, you can't tell that what he's mouthing is not what he's saying. And then you're like, oh, that's AI. But the scam typically across the board is that, send us cryptos, it's an airdrop, we're gonna send you back twice as much. Other big ones are these scammy airdrops. And I would definitely look into any airdrops before you sign up, before you click on anything that's been sent on your email. Anybody asking for your seed words, like ever, do not give it to them. I've had people offer to give their seed words to me to help them with a wallet situation. And I've explained to them, I don't accept anyone's seed words. I understand that sometimes people might need to help you out. But again, the same reason that I would never, I have an extra ledger here, and a friend of mine into crypto, she doesn't have any ledgers or treasures. She doesn't have any hardware wallets. But I told her I can't give her the extra one that I have because it's already been popped open and the seed words have been exposed. Like, we know the seed words. And I said, you should never take a wallet from somebody because somebody knows the seed words. And, you could end up having all of your money stolen. And I would never steal somebody's money, but I also don't want to be on the FBI's, contact list of people who could have potentially stolen that person's money. Like, you have to think about it that way too, that you don't even want to be on the list. So, we have a whole bunch of ideas and tips and tricks how to keep yourself out of the line of fire, because, oh my gosh, we've been doing this together, Moo, for almost 5 years now. And it's been crazy, the number of people who have lost, hundreds of thousands of dollars through different types of scams, and just also regular mistakes that people make, like not storing your seed words properly and losing them. I had a friend who lost his seed words lost his book with all of his seed words, but thankfully his wallets were still running. So he was able to log on and then remove his funds and then put them into a new wallet with new seed words and store those. So that's the other thing too, is you got to stay on top of all of that stuff.
Yeah, very good point, Sam. Very good point. Let's go ahead and take a look. Very great points. You guys, just be careful out there. Ask an expert. If you're coming across, utilize your networks. We have these wonderful Discords, and there's lots of knowledgeable people in these networks and Discords in which you can ask an expert about some scammy link, some fake news thing. Please, don't click on some link in an email and authorize something in one of your wallets, like a transaction, anything like that. If you're out there participating in these networks, you may be due some airdrops, but you should already know how that airdrop is going to occur to you, right? And most of them are not some nonsensical thing that you would click on in your email. Okay, so just be very, very careful. As the scammers get smarter, we have to get smarter, right, as holders. So, and a lot of us have learned that over the years.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. Sorry about that, Moo. I was just going to say there's going to be a big rush of new people, just like there is whenever there's a big run in the market. There was a lot of people who joined cryptos in 2021 and, bought in at the top of the market. But I saw even more people who were new who got sucked into a lot of scams or didn't know about security. So that's why we're putting this in the first 30 minutes of our usually 1 hour to, well, now we're trying to keep it at around hour and 15, but it really depends on the news of the day. We'll go as long as we can, but we try to keep it within an hour.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and just take a look at a few things. So Delaware refers XRP fake filing to state justice officials. I'm glad that they're on this here pretty quickly. You kind of mentioned that too. I think that's great. We have Hong Kong gaming giant Boya Interactive. They're a big kind of Web2 online gaming thing. They do a lot of card games and they do a lot of physical board games and things like this, but they have approval to buy 100 million from their board, 100 million in Bitcoin and Ethereum. Thought that was real cool. We can also just kind of take a look at the markets here real quick. Okay, we got AVAX here, really doing well, up about 18%. Some of these I don't feel comfortable talking about here, but a lot of these, some of these are discussed. Crypto miners are doing great. A lot of gaming tokens are doing great. Solana got up to what, 64? It's sitting at 62 currently. So let's just go ahead and take a look. So Link rated just under $15. And Avalanche. I don't know if I already mentioned Avalanche. I think I did. Okay, so we'll go ahead and just take a look at that. Why don't we go ahead and jump into some questions, Sam, if you're okay with that, and we'll come back and just swing back and see if there's anything in the news, okay? Sam, what do you see for the Flyers Reef, VVS, and XYO?
I saw that VVS was making a play earlier in the week. I was like, oh, great, it's not dead, because I still have my VVS finance. Yeah, so those are what I call flyers. Those were further out on the Pluto land. When I talk about flyers, I'm talking about the high risk ones. So when you're looking at your crypto portfolio, normally I would say not to have more than 15, and at the top 25% if you're a younger person, or if you're in a situation where you absolutely don't have any plans at all with your cryptos. So there's no real timeline on that. Maybe up to 25% of your portfolio. Any more than that, it could get depressing for you, because when these things crash, they crash like 90, 95, 98%, and then they'll roar back. So they can be very depressing if you're someone who bought in at the top. But what usually happens, like with Reef, what happened with Reef is that a lot of people dollar cost average. So just bought it as a flyer and then sat on it. And then when it went down so low to like a tenth of what it was, or a quarter of what it was, they just bought a whole bunch more, So now that there's lots of work and development going on in certain areas, and some of them will just pump because everything else in crypto is pumping, where there's a good story about that comes out about, Reef or XYO or VVS Finance, and then, people pile onto it because they've just joined cryptos and they're like, hey, what's good out there? I want to buy more than just Bitcoin and Ethereum. I think I've kind of missed the boat on those. You definitely haven't missed the boat on them. I mean, I feel like Bitcoin is going to see a high of 84,000. That was a long time ago. I think that was my high when I said that it'll kiss like 100,000 maybe and then come back down. I didn't see it at $1 million or anything like that. I'm not saying that it's not going to. I don't see it, right? Like, I mean, I totally missed Terra Luna. Like, that came out of nowhere, and I was like, hey, where did that come from? Oh, I didn't see that at all, right? And then, well, that was probably why, because it was not the darling forever. And I don't think Bitcoin's going to be the darling forever, too. I think Ethereum is going to be the next one up on the stage. I think that's got at least another... Well, if it's at 2,000, I would say like in this run, like another 6 times, in my opinion. 12,000 was my set goal for Ethereum. But again, a lot of people want to have a few flyers in there because they don't want 6 times. They're like, oh, well, all I got is 10,000 to put in, and $60,000 doesn't save my life. It doesn't change much, right? But 600,000 does. So where's the flyers? So that's why we choose like these flyers who are highly unlikely. In the early days, my flyer was Doge. So, and I bought Doge and tried to get other people to buy Doge because I was like, I see doggies everywhere. Right? So that's what a flyer is. So again, I'm still, all in on those. I mean, AVAX, that was an early one for us here because, we were looking at what other ones in the future, other than Solana, for example, would be, really great for cryptos. And, and AVAX has its own specialty. It's not as developed at all. But again, at this point, I wouldn't really call AVAX a flyer anymore. But I'm still feeling like VVS, Reef, and XYO. Those are still flyers.
Yeah, I don't hold any of those that were mentioned. A lot of my flyers are gaming related or gaming adjacent. So, for example, there's an interesting game called Citus, and it has an adjacent DAO token called Senate, and Senate has basically ripped people's faces off for the last 3 weeks. So it's just going to the moon, things like this. But I'm very leery to mention some of these things because if people are not around them, it's really hard to kind of be into everything. Or even Solana, right? Solana has really had a wonderful, year, really, but really, really done well in the last few months. But there's a lot of Solana network adjacent apps and dApps and things that have tokens that have done extremely well, like outpace Solana by multiples. So that's kind of what I'm doing or what I've done. So yep, everybody needs to be careful out there. And gaming, I just think is going to be huge. So anything that gives you exposure, and Avalanche gives you exposure to gaming. You can see more institutionals be interested in interacting with Avalanche and Solana and Ethereum, obviously, and Bitcoin, obviously. So, those are all good signs. Let's go ahead and take a look at another question here. Tim Taylor's got one. Will the announcement of the Bitcoin spot ETF mark the top of the local market for Bitcoin like the futures ETF announcement did in 2017, or will be different with a spot ETF, which is purported to be less of a tool for market management?
I don't think the announcement of an Ethereum ETF is going to affect things. I mean, yes, it's going to affect things positively, but there's going to be so much happening that is positive for things to keep going. It's not going to mark the top. It'll mark it, but it won't be the top. It'll mark it as, why is Ethereum going up so much in Ethereum related tokens? Oh, they've announced the ETF. Well, that could be, let's say, in January, but things keep going until June.
Yeah, this was about Bitcoin. I don't know if I cut out, but your feelings might be the same.
Yeah, it'll be the same. I thought they were saying about the Bitcoin ETF futures, and then if Ethereum was announced as well, and it's like, it's not gonna. If things are gonna keep going. Like, there's not a lot of people ask me like, what's going to be the major catalyst, and the best I could say about like this market run, and it was 2 years ago. Around September of 2021, where we talked about, being in the rapids. We were going to be in the rapids for 2 years, and then it would be the main thing that would bring the herd was going to be the regulation and the anticipation of regulation, because, the crypto market is a lot like the stock market. It's a barometer. So it's not like telling the temperature, like the weather, you can tell the temperature, but the barometer tells you what's coming, right? What the weather's going to be. And that's kind of what goes on in the crypto market, is there's a lot of speculation. So that's what I feel that we're in now, is we're in the speculative part where it's rising based on all of the regulation and adoption that is coming and in the process.
I think so many things about this. When you can turn on CNBC and you see these different organizations, whether it be BlackRock, VanEck, ARK, you name it, and they're pumping crypto because they want to financialize this market. That's very interesting. There's a lot of money that can flow in through there, which is also interesting. So it's interesting. It's what a change where you can turn on a mainstream financial news channel and they're talking about the assets that you've held for a long time or whatever. So it's just kind of very cool. Super excited about it. Barton's got one here. What are the two best Q labs to buy in November, December? Thank you, Sam and Moo.
I think Ethereum and Link, because the Q labs, it's a pretty short list. What's on the Q labs there? And Ethereum and Link are two of the Q labs.
And we have another one here from John. Will Star Atlas continue to run up to 40 cents by January 1st? Thanks, Sam and Moo. It's currently setting at 0.003.
Right. Yeah. So 40 cents, that seems like a bit lofty, especially when its all-time high might have been like 26 cents. So I feel like between now and June with Star Atlas, we could probably see like its all-time high again. But 40 cents, that seems a bit lofty, in my opinion. I think that Star Atlas has years to go, like really years. I don't see myself selling out of my Star Atlas until a couple of years down the road. I mean, it's just going to keep being developed and going and going. And I agree with you that some of the biggest blockchains in crypto are going to be in the gaming sector.
Thanks, Sam. Got another one here. This is from Monty. Question, Vet, do you see a $7 target next year or maybe in a couple years away?
Yes, a couple of years away for this run, the all-time high for Vet. I think it'll hit its previous all-time high. I plan on, selling off a bunch at 25 cents myself. I missed that last time. It just moved too quickly for me. It wasn't a case of greedy got me caught. It was just everything just moved too fast. So I'll be ready this time. I'll be watching Vet and peeling off 100,000 or so at 25 cents and, I don't know, buying a hard asset somewhere, or maybe I'll just blow it on something stupid. Hard to say.
Cool. Remember to get those questions in, you guys, over on the right-hand side, and we'll go up to the Discord as well, and Sam's Discord, and we'll take a look. Brian Hagen's got one here. Okay. When will be the end of Gary's days with the SEC, and Kathy Wood believes that he is shooting for a new role to take the place of Jerome Powell?
Oh my goodness. He lives in a dreamland. I don't think that too many people have a lot of respect for the work that he's done. I mean, maybe, but you know what? He's just one of those people, like many who've gotten the world to the point that it's in already, has gotten it to just by living in this echo chamber, by, thinking he's something he's not. I mean, he did a terrible job, like a really terrible job. I just cannot believe what a terrible job somebody who actually knows blockchain did. But he did show his hand, because, a lot of people wondered why Gary Gensler changed so much, in his ideas. And, you can see from his own testimony to Congress that, the banks got a hold of him. That's what happened. The banks got a hold of him. And, the banks, and they're very powerful, but they're losing their power, and they see that they're losing their grip on power. And you're seeing this with all of this foolishness going on with the banking system. I've had a few Sam Jammers report that they had bank accounts closed for no reason. And one bank told them it was because they were dealing with crypto, so the banks, they don't like cryptocurrency. They kind of have this love-hate. They're like, we love it if we're running everything, but we hate it if you are, and so they've been trying to, puppeteer people like Gary Gensler. So yeah, no, he's not going into any higher position. I felt like he was going to be interviewed for jail, especially now that Sam Bankman-Fried is going to be sentenced. I think Sam Bankman-Fried's parents, both of his parents, especially Barbara, should be in jail. I definitely think they should be looked at very closely. And at a minimum, they now are, pariahs at Stanford University because they exposed themselves to be what they are. And Gary Gensler, I thought that he would be booted by September. So sad to say, maybe I was off by a year, because that happens on a regular, where I'll see like a month, and then it happens a year later on that month.
And to clarify, I think Kathy's words and other people's words, I think it was the Treasury Secretary. It wasn't the Brian. It wasn't the Fed. Okay, Nani Crypto's got one here. Hi, Sam and Moo. Once we take profits, do you think keeping profits in USDC will be an issue, or is it okay to keep in USDC for at least 6 months?
Well, I mean, I'm a big proponent of rolling my crypto profits into hard assets, but I do understand and appreciate that the banks are sketchy. You definitely don't want to have more in there than the FDIC will cover you for, or in Canada, it's the CDIC. I'm sure that banks around the world have similar type of insurance programs. One of our Sam Jammers, Wayne, pointed out that the FDIC only has enough money to cover half of 1% of all the deposits that are in FDIC, insured banks. So, I mean, if you need to stick to that, first of all, make sure. But when the banks close down, that money gets tied up. So even though you're getting it back, you don't get it back like right away. So that really blows if you're like in the process of, closing on your dream home or your dream boat, or, you're paying for an operation for your Nana. That really blows if you're trying to get that money. So I felt that USDC, because I wouldn't put it in Tether, because somebody asked me a long time ago, and this came out in the blab. I'm always mindful of that, because I really know nothing about any of this stuff, and I try to be like a mushroom, just stay in the dark, so that when I get the questions, I am able to answer freely without any, I should say, without already having a position on it. Yeah, I just wouldn't touch Tether. I wouldn't touch a lot of the other stable coins that are created. But Circle owns USDC. So I would say that, spread your money around. And if you got to store some money somewhere, USDC would be, I would say, the least dangerous of all of them. But again, the stable coins, some of the governments are going to come down on some of those stable coins, Tether, I think in particular. But somebody had asked me years ago about that. And I said that by the time that happens with Tether, that the market will be too big and Tether will be smaller in comparison to where it was at the time that the question was asked of me 4 years ago. I think if they came down on Tether, it might have destroyed the entire crypto market, right? Because that was like the main stable coin. But I felt like by the time anything was looked at with Tether, that the market would just be so much bigger.
Thanks, Sam. Appreciate that. Just give me a sec. Let me grab another question here. Bradley J's got one here. When a newbie wants to get into the crypto market and they ask you what to buy, what would you say or recommend? We know so much that I find the question hard to answer.
Well, first of all, the question's easier to answer if you ask them what they want. Because I mean, when I used to talk to people about investing money, I would really spend the first probably 15 minutes just talking to them about what they wanted and what their goals were. And I think that it's important that you ask people about that, what their expectation is from it, what would make them happy, what were they thinking of using the money for, and of course their age has a lot to do with it as well, because if they tell you, oh, this is just, my fooling around money, if I get a trip out of it, it's great. It doesn't matter if I lose it all. I'm, willing to take this chance, compared to, I would love to retire. I don't have a pension. All I have is this $30,000, and that's why I have to keep working. But, I'm 63 years old, and I know that my health at some point may give out, and I really would like to have my house paid off and have some sort of a cushion to live off of more than $30,000. So that you can see that would be a totally different scenario. Like those are the two polar opposites of examples. So, but if you don't ask people about what their goals are, then you're not going to be able to, talk to them about the different cryptos and why, for example, you would tell the person with 30,000, geez, you know what, man, I would put at least half of that in Ethereum, right? Because I still see Ethereum doing, 20 times from where it's at, like down the road, right? I would say, man, if you can hang in there working until you're maybe 68, I would say it's pretty safe to bet that Ethereum is going to be worth like a lot more. And then if you stake it, you can also earn an income from it as well, which is really great. So I really love Ethereum for that. So again, you can see when you ask somebody those questions and they give you the answers, you can give them a much easier sort of portfolio to consider, and then explain to them why. Even myself, I was talking about before Solana went on its big run. I was like, well, if I if I sell my beach house, I don't want to put the money all in the banks. I'm really worried about it. And I mean, I would buy Ethereum, but I'd put 20% in Solana, right? Because I was feeling like Solana was going to, do really well. But again, if I was 75 years old, I wouldn't say that, because, I'm running out of I think I'm running out of runway at that point. So I should probably be a little bit more careful.
Yeah, Bradley, this is a tough one. I try and just recommend the strongest things, or, people ask me what I'm in, and you guys know what I'm in. I'm in the strongest things. I don't want them to be in some sort of sketchy thing that doesn't have any liquidity, or they got to jump through 9 hoops, or they have a bunch of things to manage. That's very hard for a new person. Kind of at the same time, I make sure that they know how to use a hardware wallet, things like this. They're registered on a real exchange, things like this. So I try and cover the basics more than talk about cryptos. But definitely have no problem talking about ETH, Bitcoin, Link, Matic, Solana, maybe a little bit of AVAX, something like this. I think those are all very strong. And it's easy for people to come in and out. So that's kind of where I concentrate, and then try and just be available, because they will have lots of questions. Oh, what about this coin? Oh, what about this network? And try and just be honest with them. Give them the best information you can. That's kind of what I do. So seems to be okay, but I've really stopped bringing people and talking about crypto really to people. It's not really, for people that I already have established relationships with now over years, that's fine. But I'm not really interested in convincing anybody of anything around crypto anymore. I saw too many people get a little bit too greedy in 2021 and overextend themselves. So, yeah, and I see this every cycle. So I'm just not interested in seeing that again. I'm sorry.
I spend my time with people who already have cryptos.
Right. Right.
So I'm the same way, Moo. I feel the same way. It's not, to me, it's not worth it to me to talk anyone into, or if someone says to me, cryptos are a scam, or like when I remember someone in my family said to me, oh, you better be careful. And I said, oh, that's something like I would say to my 8-year-old son. Be careful, not to some lady who was like a branch manager for like forever and knew money in the systems and economies like nobody's business. I mean, to me, that was just so crazy that person said anything to me. And if they came to me today and were like, can you help me get into cryptos? I'd be like, no,